Dre and Smiley, Wellness Wednesday. Dre, what's going on in the world of wellness?
Man, so social media, believe it or not.
Great topic.
So I was reading an article not too long ago, actually very recently on USA Today about the impacts of social media. So I just wanted to bring up kind of three areas, Smiley, for us to kind of, just consider. So when we think about social media in this article, it highlights there's the positive, the negative, and then there's the importance of using social media. So let's touch on the first, which is the positive effects. So this article, kind of summarizing here, it says while social media is often criticized for its negative impact on mental health, this article highlights that it can also have a positive effect. For example, social media can provide a sense of community and support for those who may feel isolated in their everyday lives. So, what are your thoughts on that?
You know what? Everyone feels like they're alone sometimes or no one understands them, but I think by using social media, it made the world smaller because you could find someone in Asia, Africa, Europe who has a similar interest as you have, and now you don't feel like you're alone. So there's somebody out of these 7 billion humans on this planet who think or have similar interests. So I think it allows everyone, regardless of how bizarre or strange or unique you are, you can find someone that has similar interests and views and perspectives as you. Makes the community
Yeah,
smaller.
I agree. Yeah, it makes the world smaller. I agree. And what comes to mind is Carol Crocker, who we had on the podcast,
Mhm.
who is a seamstress slash tailor. And she has a huge following from people all over the globe. And she's gathered this following through social media. And like to your point, Smiley, these individuals have started learning how to sew and create garments. And who knows, what their personal lives are like. Maybe this is that one opportunity for them to have a release, have a connection with someone, right? So I definitely see that there's a value or a benefit to social media. So the negative effects of social media. So this article kind of summarizes and explores the negative impacts of social media on mental health. We've all heard about this and read about this for quite a while now. Some examples they give are the potential for social media comparisons and the impact of cyberbullying. So obviously these are teens and the like that have to encounter this. I imagine perhaps adults get caught up in cyberbullying as well when you think about politics and the attacks that take place there. It also highlights how social media can contribute to feelings of anxiety, depression, low self esteem, particularly among young people who are still developing their sense of self. So, tell me your thoughts on that, Smiley, in terms of the negative impacts.
Wow, the negative impacts almost as great as the positive ones because the cyberbullying and the social shaming. It took me for when I grew up during the 70s, late 60s, 70s, and 80s. The bully was someone that was physical. You saw the bully, you see him down the street, you go the other way. You just avoided the bully. But I just couldn't understand why young people just don't turn off the computer. So that's a naive way of looking at it. But when you're getting cyber bullied on your social media accounts and you just can't turn them off or can't delete them or block them, I could see if you're not strong in your self esteem or self worth, somebody beating you up, attacking you from New Zealand and also from Hawaii, you could feel like the world's against you. So, but yeah, bullying when we grew up, we used to be physical, and now it's mental because they're attacking your essence, your image, your conscious, your soul, it feels like. So I could see the
Yeah,
negative impacts of that greatly.
yeah. It mentions the depression and anxiety. Something that comes to mind is, you see all these people on social media, Instagram, things like that, that appear to have these perfect lives, that have all these material possessions and seemingly endless amounts of money. I could easily see how that could create anxiety or depression for those that don't have that and want that. um, that's one aspect of it. The bullying you mentioned earlier. I have friends that have shared stories of their teens, their daughters specifically, getting bullied by other um, girls to go to their school. And it's like you were saying, growing up, if you saw the bully coming, you cross the street and go the other way. Nowadays, you could just be on your phone. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get this text or this post or this whatever it is that you can't turn the other way. It's like thrown right in front of you, and all of a sudden you're forced to deal with it. It's a problem for sure. The last one, um, the importance of using social media mindfully. So the article emphasizes the importance of using social media mindfully and being aware of how it may impact our mental health. It suggests limiting social media, the use of it, and being mindful about the sort of content that we consume. One thing that comes to mind as relates to that is, there was a guy that I was reading about. He was talking about, in the past, there was a phrase that show me your 5 friends, and I'll tell you who you are or who you're going to become. And nowadays, you go to social media, he says, I can look at your posts, not your posts, well, your posts, but also your feed, because it's an algorithm, right? So the more you look at, posts about entrepreneurship or building wealth or real estate, the more posts you're going to receive about that. So he was saying, if you show me your posts and your feed, I'll tell you your interests, And so in terms of the mindfulness part, a lot of people, especially kids, it's a slippery slope. These things are just thrown at you, and before you know it, you're just looking at cars and all these material things that don't have any meaning whatsoever, but now you're consumed with that. So the mindfulness part, I think that's really important. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's you gotta put filters on it. It's almost like the TV during the 70s, 80s when we first got satellite dish or satellite TV or the internet, or not even
Yeah,
internet, the cable. Certain channels you just didn't watch. You just blocked them off, didn't put
right,
them. And I think social
right.
media is the same way. If we make that comparison,
Mm.
if you feed into the algorithm, if you're watching World Star all the time on Instagram or on your posts, you're going to get a lot of World Star type material.
That's right. That's right.
Versus if you're looking at inspirational quotes or motivational or entrepreneurial, whatever your
Yeah,
interests are, if you're into basketball, you'll get basketball feeds
yeah,
in the algorithm. So you
yeah,
you get out of social media what you put into it, and if we can keep our
yep,
young people geared towards pulling out of the positive, then I think it'll feed their minds in a positive manner.
yeah. I think the key takeaway, kind of just summarizing, for those listening, I think the key takeaway is moderation, right? So everything in moderation, and I would just add to that the mindfulness of it all. Social media has its place. I think if it's leveraged properly, it's a great tool. Hope everyone has a great remainder of the week, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.